Good evening, Garden City. I'd like to call to order our regular city council meeting for Monday, November 6th, 2023 at 7 p.m. Our first order of business is our opening ceremony, which consists of the national anthem, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a moment of silence for those service members who have given their lives for our country. Would everyone please rise?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Please be seated. Mr. Miller, if you take roll, please.
Mayor Jacobs.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Dole.
Present.
Councilmember Karafotis.
Here.
Councilmember Squires.
Here.
Councilmember Earl.
Here.
Councilmember Witt.
Here.
Councilmember Lynch.
Here.
You do have a quorum with all 7 members present, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Item 4 is the approval of the agenda.
Mayor,
Councilmember Witt.
I move to approve the regular council meeting agenda as presented for Monday, November 6th.
Support.
Support from Councilmember Lynch. Comments from the table? From the public? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0. We have no recognition. I don't see any county or state officials. Item 7, presentation, and this is from our Public Service Credit Union. Mr. Marciniak, if you'd like to explain part of it.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. If you recall, on July 10th, at the meeting in July 10th, the Council approved an agreement in order to do business with Public Service Credit Union, as well as allow them to take tax and water bill payments at the credit union down the street. So I just wanted to, we got that in place. We just kind of announcing for the winter tax coming up and currently for the water bills that they're ready and able to start taking payments. So the partnership has some benefits between the two. It'll benefit the residents with another alternative place to pay. Also, there'll be, some people want to pay in person. They can pay in person at the credit union. They on their hours, so obviously they can pay on a Saturday at the credit union where they could not at City Hall. So that's a benefit to them. Also, it gives the city the opportunity that if something were to happen and we were unable to accept payments at City Hall, gives us another point where we can accept in-person payments right down the street. God forbid something terrible happens or for the City Hall, or we have a contingency plan in place for that now. Tonight, I just wanted to make that announcement, as well as introduce a couple of representatives from the bank We have Susan and Brandy here. They're going to talk a little bit more about the program, and we'll go from there. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Ladies?
I'm Susan Cabello. Hi, guys. I'm Brandy Overholt from Public Service. We're right down the street. We are so excited to partner with you guys with this water and tax payment. We think it'll be very convenient for the residents of Garden City to come on in, and we're happy to help. Our hours are Monday through Thursday, 9 to 5, Friday, 9 to 6, and we are open Saturdays from 9 to 1. We are right down the street in the same plaza as Planet Fitness. It's where the old Kroger used to be. We're right at the end with the big blue shutters. That's us. So the process would be someone would come in and they would bring their payment coupon, or they could print their invoice online and they would bring it to us. They can pay by cash or check. We would pull up the account that we have established already with the city, and we would deposit the money into the account with their account number, so they would be able to track who was paying it. We would put their account number and the address of their property. So we are very excited to get this ball rolling.
The only thing we can't do is take a late tax payment.
Yes, we can't take a late tax payment.
But other than that, we can help.
Yes.
Thank you very much. We look forward to working with you.
Thank you.
Thanks. Okay, item 8, community events. First, I'll call up Kim Poma from the library.
Hello. I just wanted to give another reminder that this Saturday is our silent auction for the Garden City Library. It's our 100-year celebration. We're going to have food. There'll be items you can bid on. It is $25 to buy a ticket. That gets you in the door. That gets you dinner. Ticket sales will be until tomorrow at 5 o'clock. So if anyone's interested, the library is selling them. So head on over and get your ticket, and it should be a lot of fun. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Councilmember Witt.
Yes. Don't forget, the Santa Land Parade is this month, so the Saturday after Thanksgiving, November 25th at 10 a.m. down Middlebelt Road. Our theme this year is Red, White, and Jingle Bells, a patriotic Christmas. Today was the last day to sign up as an entry, but we are always looking for volunteers. To sign up, visit santalandparade.com. We are looking forward to seeing everyone on the streets Saturday, November 25th.
Okay, thank you. We have no petitions or communications. Item 10 is a public hearing on the street lighting special assessment. Mr. Marciniak.
Good evening again. This is obviously, as you said, for the street lighting special assessment. This is a continuation of a millage that was actually originally started in 2011. And in 2018, there was a resolution passed by council to do a 5-year flat fee of $30.89 in 2018. That currently is expired. We're looking to do another 5 years at the same $30.89. This special assessment generates approximately $350 or $350,000 that supplements the operations of the street lighting throughout the city. Currently, the cost to operate the street lights and maintain them and do some improvements is well over $500,000 a year. So it's increased 37% in the last 5 years. But right now, administration feels that we can keep that special assessment at the same price going forward for another 5 years, and general fund will be able to offset those additional costs. So I have nothing further unless you have any questions.
Mayor,
Councilmember Karafotis.
what did we do before 2011?
Before 2011, it came out directly out of general fund. So that was some of what happened when the Great Recession of 9, 10, 11 happened. We lost 30 to 40% of the city revenue in order to do those projects, and I guess it was an ability to keep the lights on. And we still haven't reached back to those same levels of revenue.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other?
I have a question. Is this the same bucket of money, if you will, where we pull to do the improvements to the lights, like the LED?
Yes, they're passed on directly through DTE, through our light bills. So, yeah.
Okay, so would you know where we are with that LED program?
No,
Doug can talk a little.
we periodically change them out as we go. When there's, DTE comes to me periodically and says, here, another bank of lights, the old halide, metal halide lights, where there's a cost savings of return of 2 years to 3 years. They've got a lot throughout the city that's going to take 7 or 8 years. And at that point, technology may be so different, it's not worth spending that much money. So in my time here, we've changed lights across the city, but not all at one time for the fact that it just isn't a cost-effective decision. So it is, the money comes from we mentioned the 500,000. We can spend more than that out of our general fund. We're only bringing in the 350 from this cost. So it's not that this cost is going directly towards the expense. It's coming from that money, but also from our general fund. So we are keeping up with it, but without a doubt, we're doing it efficiently and not uncost-effective.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I will open this up to public hearing. Anybody wishing to speak on the street lighting assessment? Come on up, state your name, please, and let us know street that you live on.
Jeff Gorman, I'm on North Leona in Garden City here. Got a quote here I just found out. You had this assessment since 2011. The last mayor was quoted long ago as saying, when the property values come up, we plan on eliminating this. Yeah, it's been 11 years since then. And it reminds me of the tax on phones that we had for the Spanish-American War that lasted for 106 years before we finally got rid of that. Is this folded into our property tax or not?
Part of it is.
I don't see it, I don't think it's put on our property tax, and it's not a deduction that we can take, right?
No, as you mentioned earlier, the 350 that we received from the lighting assessment, we spend over 500 for the lighting, so it's not a break even. It's actually still a cost for the city, an increased cost. We're keeping the tax cost to you, as far as the assessment goes, equally what it's been in the past.
It's
So-
money out of our same pot. It may be a different pot for you, but it's money we're paying
Yes.
to the city. Why don't you put it into the property tax, so it is a deduction for us when we do our federal tax and state tax as well?
I'm not sure, Brian, if is our assessments tax deductible?
Assessments are not tax deductible.
Yeah.
He is correct.
Okay.
That's the way we've operated. We could increase the value, but that would be across the board. If we increase it, that would hit personal property tax. That would hit some of the commercial businesses quite a bit differently if we do it through a village. So that's why we just do it by property for the $50.
Again, it's coming out of our pockets. Why don't you make it a property tax so it's deductible at least?
That can be something we look
Yeah,
at.
I mean, that's a different
We'll look
animal.
at that going forward.
Yeah,
See what,
like I
we'll
said,
get with our treasurer.
You're right, it is coming out of
years ago,
taxes.
you
either
said
way.
it was going to go away with the property tax. I know my property tax has increased because I fought against it and lost against the city. Put it in the same pot, make it tax deductible. It's not going away. He just asked for 5 more years. That makes it a total, what, 16, 17 years we've had this assessment? Yeah, it's a tax. Put it in the property tax.
We can look at that going forward. Thank you.
Mayor, can I
Councilmember.
ask our finance director if, what other cities do? Does everybody do an assessment?
Several our neighboring cities did the same route with special assessments because a lot of cities were maxed out on their tax millage rate. There was no other way to garner additional funding for those things. So there was MCLs, provisions by state law in order to enact a citywide special assessment for street lighting. People in different places use different methods on how to figure that out, but they're still passing those costs on through a special assessment to the taxpayers or the homeowners.
Would we be allowed to put it in the property tax?
Fortunately, at this time, we do have a little bit of wiggle room on that, but like I said, The one issue with that is currently, the way we assess that is based on a flat rate per parcel. So everybody pays the same price for that. If we were to enact a millage, that millage would have to be applied to personal property on businesses, would obviously our commercial businesses and some of those other ones would be affected differently than what they pay now on that special assessment. Various homeowners would pay various different rates based on their assessed value of their homes. So it would change our methodology considerably.
Is it like the garbage tax? I mean, I know that we pay an assessment on that, like I pay more than my neighbor pays for
Yeah,
garbage,
so we
correct?
have two, like as we spoke before, we have two kinds of different garbage taxes. One's for what the dumping or the tipping fees they call, and the other one is for the actual trash hauling. So yes, one is, and one of those is one of those is passed on as a special assessment, and one is passed on as a millage.
And this lighting, is that just for residential? Do any of the businesses pay the same?
It's for every parcel in town, and they pay the same.
Okay.
So it's for the street lightings in front of the parcels.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other resident? Yes, sir.
Hi everyone, my name is Mohammed Ali. I live in Garden City, 330 Tim Barton Street. I have same question with this brother who said, my question now, if we say 5 years ago, 2018, okay, the tax for the house, say 1,000, now almost 3,000. There is 2,000 raised for the tax. I wonder why we don't use this, why like what we did with this 2,000. And you know, we have many houses here. Why we don't use this 2,000 for this lighting? I'm not against this idea, just a question.
Okay. Thank you. Anybody else? Okay, we will close the public hearing and go to item 11, the consent agenda.
Mayor,
Councilmember Witt.
I make a motion to amend resolution for the meeting minutes, the amendment to a resolution 2310-139, switching the absent votes from nay votes, but to approve the rest as presented. So if you flip to the second page, the votes are cast as absent instead of nays. So I'm just making the switch so the meeting minutes are correct from the previous meeting.
Okay. Is there a second?
Support.
Support from Councilmember Earl. Further discussion from the council? From the residents? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Okay, action items. Item number 1 is the special assessment on the street lighting that we just had a public hearing on. Motion is in order.
Mayor,
Councilmember Squires.
I move to approve following resolution confirming the special assessment role for the street lighting operation and maintenance for 5 years, beginning fiscal year 2023-24 at $30.89 annually.
Support.
Support from Councilmember Lynch. Discussion from the table.
Mayor,
Councilmember Karafotis.
before we approve something that's good for another 5 years, do we need to do anything else regarding anybody's suggestions? I mean, I don't know much about this, but if there's other ways that other cities do it, do we need to look more into it before we approve another 5 years of taxes, or a different way to do
I
it?
think if we approve it, we could come back
Yes.
after administration looks at some other places, and we could amend how we do it, I believe.
Correct.
So yes, in the future, we could come back and amend this accordingly if you choose to, or the administration like to take it in that direction. But at this moment in time, we cannot change the millage rate for the past year. So this is for this year at a minimum. to pass it for this year. And next year, either if you choose to pass this, it would stay in place, or if directed or administration chooses, we could amend this in the future, at a future date for a future year. But this is this is the vote for this year for sure.
Do you mean for it to go on the December taxes?
Correct.
Okay.
Because, yeah, we can't go back and change the July bill.
Yeah. I get
Okay.
it.
Okay. Any further comments? From the residents? Oh, we already had the public hearing. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Opposed. Okay, motion passes 6-1. Okay, item 2 is the travel policy. Mr. Doherty.
All right, thank you, Mayor. In, I believe, August of 2018, we put together a travel policy for in-state, out-of-state conferences, seminar-related travel. Before you tonight is the updated policy, which very little was changed, other than some language here or there, and then the per diem fees themselves, but it's pretty much what that we've been using for the last 5-6 years. So I wanted to bring it before the council to permit the updating of the travel policy for the citywide.
Okay, thank you. Motion is in order.
Mayor,
Councilmember Witt.
I move to approve the travel policy regarding all in-state and out-of-state conference and seminar-related travel.
Support.
Support from Councilmember Squires. Further comment from the table?
Mayor?
Mayor Pro Tem Dole.
In reviewing this, so the per diem is now going to be $70 a day?
Correct.
And looking at everything, the federal meal expense rate right now is at $59 per day.
For what city?
That's the federal. So they do have what they call a hot cities list, where it can go up to $69 or $70 if it's a hot city. So in Michigan, I believe those cities were Traverse City, Mackinac Island, and there was one more, or coming up, Atlanta and Georgia. But they do put out a list of those cities to be more, I guess,
I looked at them.
you know, for us to be more than the federal guidelines.
They weren't $59 for those cities that I checked. You're talking about Atlanta directly?
No, that's what I'm saying.
Boston and all
Atlanta
those.
is considered a hot city.
Oh, well, that's-
Those were
okay.
higher, yes.
That's where the conferences are, so that was the point of comparison.
Yeah,
yes.
they have that list. So I don't know if we wanted to maybe put something on here for
I think that
a
list
low
actually,
and a high, like localities and the hot cities, that type of thing.
If you do that, the question would be, and we've talked about this years ago, you're going to go to Boston for a conference, and that makes sense. Boston, here's the numbers, but the conference is actually in Foxborough. Well, it's outside of Boston, so it may not be exactly the same. You go to Texas, it may be outside of Houston, not in Houston. The cost may not be the same, so it's easier, I think, for our city, for accounting, just to have a flat fee and not try to come up with different numbers for different cities. So we tried to look at, where we are with the hot cities, as you refer to them, and this is definitely in line with that, and I would assume probably another 5 years until this may change again. This won't be a regular change. So we're at the point now where those cities are, but it's up to you guys if you want to go lower, but I think to try to figure out what city someone's actually in, that may be a lot more work of understanding what the costs are for that city
Well,
compared to another.
definitely
So-
would be, yes.
Yeah, so that's why we try to just keep a flat fee, would I think much more efficient.
Well, the only other question I had with it too is that, where the tuition fees or the conference registration fees include the meals. But a lot of times at the conference I go to, like the one we just went to up in Traverse City, those lunches were both sponsored by outside companies.
If it's part of your registration fee, say it's $500 for the conference, and it includes 2 lunches, a Monday and a Tuesday lunch, and then maybe a Wednesday dinner, then those you cannot be reimbursed for because it's actually already prepaid for by the city. If there's something going on that you're part of an outside association,
Now, what I'm saying is those lunches were sponsored by an outside corporation.
but it was part of your registration fee, it was included automatically. So part of your registration fee included that sponsorship lunch. So if you're going somewhere else to a lunch across the city for a sponsored event, that doesn't fall under the registration fee.
Okay, I must be missing something. If it's sponsored, to me, that means the company's paying for it.
But you paid for it in your registration fee,
Paid for
that
it, so
lunch
our
is included.
breakfast- A couple of our breakfasts were paid for, part of the conference. A couple of lunches, they had lunch, I believe.
I get that, but the lunches were sponsored by a third party. They weren't part of the conference fees, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, but it's included in your registration fee is a lunch sponsored by Johnson Company, Wednesday's lunch sponsored by Harris Company, but it's part of your registration fee that lunch is included.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, further comments from the table? From the public? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Okay, item 12 is other business, Ethics Committee, and I believe Mayor Pro Tem Dold and Councilmember Karafotis has brought this up a couple of times, and I had administration, they mentioned Westlands, so we looked at Westlands, and that's what's before us. So open that up to the table if you guys would like to discuss anything on it. Councilmember Earl.
The one thing that, and I realize we're not going to pass this as is, but the one thing I'd like to see changed is Section 8, time limits. 3 months is not enough time. It should go back at least a year or 2 years. So I would like to see if and when we come up with a draft on something, the time limit's expanded way longer than 3 months.
All right, if we wanted to move forward with this policy, it would first go to the attorney, who would write something up, bring it back before council, and I'm sure we could make some amendments ourselves to it, or make requests. Any other,
Just a question.
Councilmember Squires?
Lynch.
Lynch? Never mind, I'm looking right at you, yeah, I know.
So, as I understand this, it would just be for boards and commission and council? It doesn't
Correct.
cover anybody else, correct?
City employees are
You
covered
can't do
under-
city employees, they have a contract.
Right.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to say it out loud. So it's anybody on a board or commission would be covered by this and council.
Correct.
Basically, anybody that's not covered by, that does not belong to the union within the city, that's on board, not
Right.
volunteers or anybody like that, but
I believe Westlands is any city employees.
Page 2, Section 4.
right, as long as they're not under
Looking into some of
contract.
this with some of the other cities that have it, if a complaint comes about a city employee, they can't do anything. They just have to forward it off. So there's employee rights
With
and
HR.
a lot of other things that they can't touch.
Does it include a city contractor?
I don't believe it would.
Not an employee of the city.
No, contractor. So, for example, and I'm just saying this as an example, you're talking like Hennessy or something like that, right?
GFL.
GFL, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know that they could because they're an outside.
Yeah,
They're
I
not
don't
saying-
think so, but I
Yeah,
just thought I
no,
would ask the
uh-uh.
question out loud, seeing we're talking about it.
I think it would only be if there was some kind of connection with council or with one of the people that are covered on our end, and then it would just be on those people on our end of it.
It would, yeah, it would just
Correct.
be, yeah, so it wouldn't be a contractor, because that would then go to the police department, because as a contractor, if there was something shady going on, that would be a police action. Which would also cover the person on the other side, too. So. No, but I'm just saying, if it were that situation.
Further comments? Okay, what would council like to do on this?
I'm good with sending it off to have it written by an attorney. But like I said, I wouldn't even consider approval unless that timeline is changed.
Clerk, is it the city attorney would set up as a resolution, or? Step, draft an ordinance,
I
okay.
mean, the direction would be to have the city attorney draft an ordinance that, at least to start the framework, and then council can make amendments as they see fit.
Okay.
The direction, if this is the direction you want to go in, and to continue and emulate that, or any other suggestions, you could forward them now, or, which you have spoken about the time limits, but anything else, he would put something before you so that you have an opportunity to.
So it'll come back as an ordinance and public hearings for the ordinance, just for the council. Okay.
And it would be an ordinance that would require supermajority vote.
Yep.
So I know that I had mentioned the city of Westland just put one together about a year ago. But in addition to that, the Michigan Municipal League, they also have all kinds of information about ethics committees, ethic boards, that kind of thing. So they're a good resource.
Councilmember Earl, did you want to make a motion then to move forward?
Yeah, I make the motion to move forward with this and send it to the attorney.
Support.
Support.
Support from Councilmember Karafotis. Further discussion from the public? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Okay, item 13, public comment for non-agenda items only. You will have 3 minutes. Anybody wishing to speak?
Hi, Lauren Anthony, Sheridan Street. I was just hoping somebody might be, oh my God, this thing moves. I'm sorry, I did not know it was on wheels. I was just hoping somebody might be able to shed some light onto something I'm a little confused about. I don't understand why we have things like a master plan or a city charter if whenever it's inconvenient, we seem to just kind of ignore them. Last meeting, we discussed those townhomes being built, and our master plan states that you should not have more than 8 residents in half an acre. This is gonna be 10 residents, and we voted yes for it. I get that the tax dollars are more with 10 versus 8, but I'm just very confused by that. I've been coming to meetings for about 3 years now. I've seen multiple times things come up before the city council, and then a council member or somebody in the audience brings up, well, that goes against something in our charter, or that goes against something in our master plan, and it pretty much every single time is ignored, and we just go ahead with it anyway. So I'm just confused as to why we have these things if we're not gonna be following them and we're not gonna really be listening to them. So thank you guys for your time.
Thank you. Anybody else wishing to speak? Yes, sir.
I hadn't planned on this, but since I'm here, I left Garden City when I was 17, came back 13 years ago, I guess. It's kind of surprised to see my town kind of rotting. The downtown is just places closing like there's no tomorrow. It used to be the first Kmart here, first sitting down McDonald's. Orange Julie's was a mainstay here. I think part of the reason, and I've talked to other people, is nobody wants to go down Middle Belt. I don't know why you guys haven't looked at synchronizing the lights on Middle Belt. You got 6 lights in 1 mile. And I call it Garden will stop you at every light city on Middle Belt because it needs to be synchronized. I avoid Middle Belt. That's your mainstay. That's where a lot of stuff is. There is some stuff on Ford Road, but Middle Belt's your mainstay. And people avoid that. I avoid that. I go down the side streets rather than dealing with all the lights on Middle Belt. You need to look at synchronizing those lights and at least keeping people from avoiding Middle Belt and the mainstay of business. You got to build up the city. I mean, like I said, I had the advantage of not having been here for 40-some years and coming back and seeing what's happened to the town. So I've had a lot of people that I've mentioned that to them, and they said, yeah, I avoid Middle Belt like the plague as well. So you want more going on in the city, synchronize the lights and get rid of a few. You could actually get rid of a few on Middle Belt or put them to flashing yellows a lot earlier than 10 o'clock at night.
I believe, thank you. Go ahead, Councilmember Earl.
We've met with, so we don't control the lights. We have zero control over the lights. It's the county. We met with the county. We met with SYNCOG, who never really follows through with much. We've sat down with the county multiple times. We've asked to get rid of this light up here in front of Planet Fitness.
Yeah.
That is just a stopgap. There's no excuse for it. And we get zero traction with it. We've met with the state about Ford Road. So we have tried multiple times. We continue to try to reach out with them. But the county is the ones that control it. And the county doesn't ever want to see to adjust it. And the one thing they say is, well, if we adjust these, then 3 miles down there, it's going to mess those up, which I don't buy into. So we do try to do it. It's not our control at all. And I agree. I have to come down to Middle Belt every day, but you know, it's a mess, especially some of these lights that don't need to be here.
Well, Wayne County, in my opinion, treats the streets like it's their backyard, that there's no other traffic on it, and they try and keep the misery index up. They work on the main routes, also on the alternates at the same time, so there isn't any way. They don't really care. I don't know where you need to get the hammer, but you need to hammer Wayne County, get them off their butts, fix this road for the sake of the town.
Thank you. We're still working on it.
Yeah, well, your town's dying. My town's dying.
We're trying to bring it back.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're not going to get it unless you get participation from Wayne County, whatever it takes.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else? City Manager's report.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a quick announcement. This Saturday is Veterans Day, of which I believe the mayor is going to be talking about in a minute for an event. But just want to acknowledge City Hall and its city buildings will be closed this Friday, November 10th. So buildings are closed Friday, November 10th across the city. And we'll see you for Veterans Day event the mayor will be talking about. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Miller.
I have nothing this evening.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem Dole.
I have a question for the city manager. We received your email about GFW.
GFL.
Right.
GFL.
GFL. And I wanted to know, how are we tracking that? Because I know recently, the one time, they didn't pick our garbage up for a week, the entire area, not just mine. So what I read in that email was that's a $200 per day fine compounded with another $500. So $700 a day for every single site they missed. Are we doing anything with that?
I don't believe we've fined them at this point. I think it's something we can look forward or look into. It's a catch-22 on, of course, as we talked about, I believe, last meeting. If they miss a whole street, that's one thing. They're going to claim individual houses have been missed. We don't know if somebody put it out at 10 o'clock or not. We're talking about paying employees probably to follow around to make sure it was done right or not done right. We'll have to see what the overall cost is. GFL traditionally comes back within that day or the next day if there's an issue. You don't often hear that garbage is just sitting out for a week unless it's what do you call it, vegetation or something else that wasn't picked up at that time.
No, this was trash.
Typically, if they call DPW, and I've gotten some of those phone calls from DPW for resident calls, they have a number that they can reach out to. I have a number, and I think Council Member Karafotis had it, and I called them, and I believe they were out that day because I came by later, and that the garbage was picked up. So,
Well, I'm just speaking from personal
Right.
experience.
Yeah.
You know, a couple months ago, and DPW was called a couple of times. But, so I was just wondering, you know, hence the question at the last meeting, is
Yeah.
there something in their contract? I appreciate you sending that out to us, but then I wanted to know,
Yeah.
and I get the individual houses, you're right, they could put it out late, something along that line, but when it's a whole area, it should be looked
And
into.
This would be a bit of a goocher, as I mentioned in my email to you guys. It's this summer, it's up for bid, and we have no idea where that's going to go at this point. I think recycling will have to be talked about. There's going to be a lot of discussion how we want to continue with this contract and what companies are interested. As you talk to any city around us, there's no trash hauler that's superior to another one, and GFL may be better than Rizzo. Unfortunately, Rizzo wasn't great either. So it's every day. Public Works is getting the calls for things to be picked up.
I hear complaints about Waste Management, Republic, GFL.
There's going to be complaints about all of
Yeah.
them. It's just holding them accountable.
Right.
Yeah, it was a bit surprising to see that much detail that's in there because that is a pretty hefty action. So I'll get back to you, we can talk about that, see how we want to move forward with it. But this spring, I think we're going to have some issues.
Okay, and also Kiwanis is, along with Rotary, Garden City Rotary is going to be hosting Selfies with Santa at Barson's Greenhouse on Saturday, December 2nd from noon to 3. So bring the kids by, we'll have cookies and hot chocolate, and they'll receive a gift. And Santa will be there. The other thing I just wanted to address really quick, Mr. Gorman, as far as some of the businesses that have gone out downtown, just so everybody's clear, Kmart went bankrupt. That's why they left. It wasn't because anything to do with Garden City. Kroger decided to close their store, and if you look at it, we were right in the middle of that triangle of Kroger stores, so it made sense for them to close our store, and it forced all of our residents to go elsewhere, to Westland or Dearborn Heights, to another store. I have heard, and there's a lot going on downtown right now. We've got the Gymnastics Academy that just came in. We've got a new pharmacy. Pharmacies, unfortunately, Rite Aid's gone out, but again, that's because they went bankrupt. It didn't have anything to do with our city. Middle Belt and Ford continues to be one of the busiest intersections in the whole state of Michigan, but you are right, Middle Belt's a bear to drive down. And as Councilman Earl stated, it's just unfortunate that we really can't do anything when it's ran by the county. But I imagine that the council will keep trying, so just wanted to let you know that. We're trying.
Is that it?
I'm done. Yeah, thank you.
Councilmember Lynch.
Only to say, with Veterans Day being this Saturday, thank you to all of our veterans, and thank you for your service. That's all.
Thank you. Councilmember Witt.
Just thank you to the veterans. Everybody go out and thank a veteran on Saturday. I do it as often as I can, especially with my brother being in the service. We appreciate our veterans all the time. But that is all that I have.
Thank you. Councilmember Squires.
Thank you. In honor of Veterans Day, this morning I had the privilege of being part of a group from the American Legion here in Garden City to give a presentation to the fifth graders at Farmington 5 and 6 Elementary School. The presentation explained the meaning of the 13 folds of the American flag and the explanation of the small table that is set for one person representing our prisoners of war and missing in action. And we had a very receptive audience. The kids seemed to really enjoy it and had a lot of questions. I want to thank the sixth grade teacher, Miss Carla. I know she got married and I don't know her married name, whose passion for teaching and patriotism has us coming back each year, as we've gone for several years. And thank you to Principal Bobby Robinson for such a gracious welcome. And that's all I have.
Thank you. Councilmember Karafotis.
I have a couple things. One of them is also to address the issues downtown. Councilwoman Joel mentioned about Kmart. Orange Jewelers, we would love to keep Orange Jewelers open, but unfortunately they wanted to retire, so that's not something that's in our control. They are trying to sell that building and get in other businesses. And then I'm not sure if you heard that we did actually approve hiring an economic developer, someone that's going to come in and help the city get those buildings filled. So we are working on it. I also wanted to say that Lucky Dog is having our 10th annual People and Pet Food and Clothing Drive, something we do every winter. It's been very successful. We actually have a pod delivered in the parking lot, and the residents bring food for our local food banks, food and clothing for homeless, for people and pets. So we do that November 15th through the December 15th. So look for the pod and bring anything that you want to donate, food or clothing. I also wanted to talk about, someone mentioned today about the master plan and the charter. Right now, we are working on our master plan. That's going to be coming to us soon. That's with the Planning Commission right now. We did also form a committee to change the ordinances. We haven't finished that yet or had any updates. We've done a couple of them. But I was going to mention tonight about doing something about charter updates, because we do have some things in the charter that we need to amend. however we do it, whether it's a vote or the council votes on it, so that if we could start doing that, there's lots of things in there. And then I also wanted to ask again about what we just talked about. I would like the city manager and the finance director to look at different ways about the lighting thing and get back to us on that. I think that's important. And then the other thing I wanted to say is that in the last couple months, I've heard a lot of complaints about the location of our Wayne County Meals on Wheels program for our residents. We took on part of Westland. Right now, we're delivering about 100 meals, or trying to deliver about 100 meals. Because of this, I contacted the Meals on Wheels area director, who agreed that a new location was absolutely necessary. I called several churches in our city who had not been previously contacted, and after speaking with the staff at St. Thomas the Apostle, I contacted the area director again. They had a meeting and a tour, and I'm happy to announce that the Meals on Wheels will be moving to the St. Thomas Apostle, otherwise known as St. Rayfields, in early January. They've already given their notice to the current location. So it's a much bigger facility. They're going to have a lot of room. Again, they're doing right now about 100 meals 3 days a week, but the Senior Alliance in Wayne County is trying to work to increase the Meals on Wheels program to 5 hot meals a week. So to do that, we really, really need more volunteers. Right now, there's about 800 volunteers across Wayne County, and we need over 1,000 to make it 5 days a week. So if you are interested in driving for Meals on Wheels or volunteering for Meals on Wheels, you have to have a background check. You can pick up an application at the Meals on Wheels location. We also have them at Lucky Dog. And if you're interested in learning more about the program, you can always call 734-326-5341. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Earl.
Thank you, Mayor. One thing, Leaving Iowa, the play at the Garden City High School is November 17th and 18th at 7 p.m. and November 19th at 2 p.m. As you see on the screen, you can order your tickets through there. If you go to the Garden City Theater Program Facebook page, there's a link to order the tickets. I will say tickets are very limited for this show. It's a special kind of show. They're doing it completely different. Only half of the auditorium is available to seat because of how the set is laid out. It's going to be pretty cool. This is a show that Jeff Daniels has done, so look forward to that, and that's all I have.
Thank you. I have a few things. First off, I was asked by Miss Marquette at the Historical Museum. She sent me a text to mention their Christmas Traditions exhibit, and that opens Friday, December 1st. They also have Simply Dickens Concert, which is also December 1st at 7 p.m., and tickets are available at the Straight Farmhouse Museum. And I know the exhibit that they put on there is very nice, very elaborate. It's worth seeing. And again, you can go online to their website if you need more information, or to get tickets, you can stop in at the farmhouse. The Mayor Forum, I am having December 6th at 7 p.m. That'll be in Chambers right here. Anybody that would like to come and discuss anything they want, I will be available. Halloween, the Garden City Business Alliance did not do their trunk or treat this year. It got, I think, too big, but there were a couple of smaller ones, and Stephanie over at Garden City Nutrition did one behind her business, which is in the plaza where Plato's and all that is, and they probably had about 14 trunks that came out, and they had a few hundred kids that came out, and it was enjoyable and fun, and it's great watching the kids run around in their costume. So that was a good time, and thank you to Stephanie and her staff at Garden City Nutrition. That was on a Friday. The next day, the American Legion did one. They had about 14 vehicles in their parking lot, and they really went out, had lights and smoke and all kinds of stuff set up for the kids. And again, the kids had a ball, so wanted to say thank you to them. And last but not least, Veterans Day this Saturday. We typically have our Veterans Day celebration at the O'Leary Auditorium. This year, due to it being on a Saturday, I decided we would have it in collaboration with the American Legion, Post 396, right down the street at Middlebelt, and that will be at 11 a.m. Everybody is welcome. It'll be a nice little service, and I think it's a great way to honor our veterans and help celebrate what they've done for us. So hopefully, everybody can come out and make it an even bigger event. And having said that, no further business. This meeting is adjourned.